Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to speak a moment to the students, because it was an incredible honor to be part of this jury, and we were incredibly inspired. And I want to talk to you a little bit about how important student work actually is. 3 decades ago, 3 very young architects sent all their student work to a public broadcasting organization in the Netherlands, and they were selected based on student work to actually build this broadcasting center, where they wanted to change the world, make work a nicer thing, and also densify the city to save the planet. And what we have seen in this jury is actually how wonderful, engaged all you students are. That was very heartening and a really, really nice thing to see, that you wanted to create communities, that you want to make architecture with the people, and that you also perhaps can take in the future a personal responsibility, even if you work for an office and you might not have the chance to make this kind of student work. I want to show you some examples from our practice. So basically here, shopping center in Düsseldorf needs to be transformed, but the neighbors said no for many years. And so what we then did, we went to the community, we talked to the people, we mapped their wishes, and we started to design together with them. And so we ended up actually with a plan that is renovating the shopping center, that is making the city a better place. It will be green. Nobody is against it. And even the developer was happy because he got a bit more square meters out of it. So this process was very good. It was a win-win-win situation for the people, the city, and also the people who actually created this. But you can also do these things much smaller by yourself. So one of our colleagues wanted to get rid of parking spaces in our neighborhood in Rotterdam and started to reach out to the community, and they turned parking spaces into flower beds, and instead of using the car, your personal car, you actually could then go and book an electric car and also use bicycles in this mobility hub. When I was a kid, I was extremely excited about this movie, Blaumilchkanal, where a crazy person starts to turn Tel Aviv into Venice with lots of canals. In my neighborhood, the situation is the other way around. I really could use this guy. He needs to come to Holland. Because in my neighborhood, it looked like this. In the 1960s, the planners came and said, we need more cars, and all the canals were disappearing. And so today now, with all my neighbors, we're trying to actually bring back the canals and to make the city a better place again. And this would be wonderful, but it's not easy. So we have to go and talk to everybody in the city council. So we talk to every party, 15 of them, to convince them that they need to bring back the canals. And after all that, actually, which the city council voted in favor, in an almost North Korean way, everybody was for it, which is really also, Holland politics is like Israel. We talk a lot, so nobody really agrees. Of course, the important thing for you students is to actually save our planet. I'm really sorry, my generation has not really solved this problem. We actually made it worse, because if we would all live like Americans, and Europeans probably as well, we would need the earth many times, but we don't have it. Israel also needs to do better. You see, this is an SDG portfolio for Israel. The Netherlands can also learn a lot, but Israel also has to improve, and this is in your hands to actually change society to come up with a better climate. And it's sad that this is not working so well yet, because you have this great tradition. You go to Tel Aviv and you see how the architects in the past have actually worked along with the climate and not against it. They made wonderful buildings. And actually we stole them a little bit, because in China we're trying to build a piece of Tel Aviv. So with your same, we actually stole your, you can send us the bill. It's your technology that we're trying to do here, and it's very simple, effective, and nice. People call it the pancake building, but it's actually all about not having shadow and reducing the energy use. And that is very important. Energy use needs to be reduced, and this building, for example, uses 60% less energy than normally in France. So we really need to work every day to make these kind of projects happen. Also, carbon, reducing it, this family in Germany wanted to have an eco house, and they didn't want it to look like an eco house. So underneath there you see rammed earth and a construction of wood, and that is actually a carbon depot instead of using it. Circularity is very, very important. Instead of, you know, maybe we should not always build something new, but do something with what's already there, like we were doing here in Copenhagen. Grain silos that were very strong. Everybody thought, let's put apartments inside, but they turned out to look like a piece of cake, like a triangle. We said, why not just put the apartments on the outside and have really light and wonderful apartments? And you see that these apartments are much more characteristic than the piece of city that was built around it. So if you keep the old stuff, even if it is industrial, you create more character. And then inside you have a wonderful space because the silo is now empty. Circularity you can also do in a larger scale. Many, many cities face the same thing. You bring the tramway now to your cities, which is great. In Seoul, they wanted to get rid of this inner city motorway. We turned it into a park for them. It's very green and it's very popular. It's actually so popular that 1 million people walk over this park every month, and that also means something for the economy of the place. It's not just greener and nicer. Normally the business then says, oh, but if you take the cars out, the city will go bankrupt, whatever. In reality, actually, this very small investment into the park made all the real estate on both sides much more expensive. You can't do that everywhere, but you can actually try, because we don't really want to walk next to cars, and maybe in Tel Aviv it would be also good if you kick the car out here and there. Now that the tramway is coming, hopefully it gets easier. In all the student work, we saw that you wanted to solve problems, and that is really, really good. Sometimes we ask ourselves, what problems are you trying to solve? So it's always good to explain that you, for example, want to get rid of an inner city motorway. That makes it very clear. We try to solve problems like you students. We also basically find our own problems. For example, that we don't like the typical skyscraper, that we want to improve it, that we want to make it more social, more human scale, and perhaps can we turn it into, you know, like a small European town. How do you do that? So you take a computer and you put everything that's good about this small European town into this computer program, you script it, and then suddenly you get a skyscraper with human scale that is hopefully comparable to an Italian mountain village. So Lego gave us 1 million Lego stones, and we started to build with the students of Delft University these wonderful porous city skyscrapers, skyscraper 2.0 hopefully, and they are now in Centre Pompidou in Paris. You can visit them there. And of course this is all theory. Can we also do this in praxis? Because we tried many, many times to create vertical villages to make suburbia a vertical thing, but it was always too expensive. We can also build very cheaply. So here you see one of our buildings that was built for less than €1,000, and that is a big achievement in the Netherlands. However, what we really want to do is reinvent the skyscraper, create these vertical villages. And then people tell us, this is never going to happen, you can never do this. Again, like in a university, we come with the computer, and we ask the computer, can you please script and optimize our design? So we put lots of parameters in there, and Sanne told me that she and her team actually went for 80,000 different variations of this tower before they found the right towers. And here you see a little bit, so everything that's red is bad, everything that's green is good, and so we started to test. I could talk about this project for 2 hours, but I will only tell you one little detail, and that's very important for you too, students, because you actually need to be also craftsmen, and you need to learn how to deal with materials. So we went to this quarry in Barcelona, and we saw that they have a standard size for the tiles for the facade of this building. We wanted to use the half-stone pattern, but we found out after an analysis that it's too many cuts. So we needed to go for the irregular pattern. Construction company said they cannot do it, so what did we do? We made a master plan for the facade. What are the rules? And these rules we then applied into a computer system. The computer system then mixed these rules onto the facade, and made a plan how to apply all this natural stone. So then it was sent to the quarry, and the quarry sent us these pieces of stone already cut with all the right angles in crates, and then it could be just applied onto the facade. And we didn't have waste, because whenever there was waste, actually the computer found a different spot for this piece of waste, and in this way we didn't have any waste. But paradoxically, we had a lot of waste, because when we went to the quarry, we found a lot of stones that the quarry wouldn't use. They had crystals in it. And crystals is nice. They shine in the sun, they make the facade more lively, and it's very beautiful. So we asked the quarry, what do you do with them? They said, well, we're going to make cement out of them. Oh, that's really sad. Can we get them? So we got them for a nice price. And you see, every tile has a little problem. But if every tile has a little problem, they're all fine, basically. So we don't have individuals that behave badly. We all behave badly, so then it's okay in this case, in this facade. And it's always important, students, to talk about feasibility and actually talk about money. We built this building for not a lot of money, 1,750 euros per square meter. But it has all the outside spaces. It is this vertical suburbia that we want. If you live in this building, you will know your neighbors, you can invite them for a barbecue, and you're going to have a village feeling in this building in Amsterdam. And now many people that are famous in the Netherlands but mean nothing to you live there. And so we asked, can we also do this up to a certain point for a building that is more affordable? So here in The Hague, we have 655 affordable homes, and they have a very high quality. And here also, with the roof, we try to create the porous city so that we have also here a very nice quality in this skyscraper. We always need to ask questions. We need to try to bring society further. Also in architecture, it's super important that we innovate. And innovation is also so much fun. So don't just do the same thing, try to find something new. In Rotterdam, we have this art museum. It has a really eclectic collection, wonderful collection, but nobody ever sees the collection because they can only show you 4%. All the rest is always in a depot. And they wanted to change it and want to have a public depot. So here, we won the competition with this plan to have a sculpture in the park with on the roof, a forest. And if you go inside, you're not in a museum, but you're actually in an art depot, and you have all these very strange art pieces that meet each other because they're not sorted by a curator, but just for practicalities. These are roughly the same sizes, the same materials, they need the same kind of air conditioning, and now suddenly you can see things next to each other that you would never ever see in a museum together. And it also changes all the time. They move the racks a little bit and you have a totally different experience. And it feels like an Instagram feed that goes totally wrong. You walk 10 meters and you are in 2 centuries of art history. It all comes at you like a tsunami of art. But there are also really calm moments. A curator actually can draw one of these racks, and then you can have a very silent personal moment with a Monet. And if this happens to you, you will never forget it in your life that the Monet has actually been moved only for you. And then from the roof you can see the city, and in the facade you can see yourself. So we try to be invisible, didn't really work out, but at least you can see the city and also yourself. And then in the evenings you can take a bath in an art piece by Pippi Lottie-Rist, which is really, really wonderful and inspiring. It plays with the city, it plays with the reflection, and you can play with it as well. And this kind of creativity we really need. We have so many problems in the world, and creative thinking will actually take part in doing it. And there were so many great student works that were doing some creative thinking, trying to solve problems. We also try to do this at the Y Factory in Delft with our think tank, where we allow the students to dream about the future. There is absolutely no reason to do these things, but dreaming about the future sometimes brings you into ideas that you can bring back into society that are perhaps more practical. Israel, to me, at this moment, is a bit like Sweden in the 1960s. You have an unprecedented housing task, and as you can see in Sweden, architects were not asked to design these buildings. And sometimes in these kind of moments, speed seems to be more important than architecture. But I would urge you to try to get back in control, to become the person that actually talks about this. And out of all these student works, there were very few directed at what is happening, the biggest, the most monumental construction task in Israel. So hopefully we'll see that in the next years that some students will actually think about this enormous duty that you have in this country to provide housing. If you don't do it, you will end up like the Germans with a lot of these kind of facades that look the same everywhere. Then you don't know whether you're in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, or Haifa, you know, and you don't want this kind of repetition. So don't be easy with your clients. Be a bit difficult. Push your clients to do better things, and you can do things. And this is like elderly housing, social housing that likes to be really good. And when clients asked us to make a really small market hall and some housing, we said, sure, but we can actually turn it around. We use the apartments as walls, penthouse as a roof, and then we have this huge market hall as a free byproduct of this process. And the clients loved it. But first, we needed to be a bit difficult and challenge the clients and their wishes. So this building was actually built for 3.5 million visitors, of which 50,000 tourists. We didn't have lots of tourists in Rotterdam, so we built it. The architecture attracted so many visitors, and so basically in the end, we had 8 million visitors every year and 4 million tourists. And 4 million tourists in a city that didn't have tourists before means that the economy of the place changes, and that is really nice. But still, keep on dreaming. We dream about a forest on top of Munich. It will never come, but still you need to dream it. This building is in the, this painting is actually in the office of the city architect, so everybody can see it. And we try to realize these things. Then in China, on a roof, we made a forest. But now, also we're working on a software to actually bring forest into the city and on a larger scale, so like an urban master plan. And we also, in order to show that this is a good idea, we have temporary architecture that actually allows you to walk over the roofs of the city. So we have the software and we have the festival, and they go together and they will seduce people to tell them that you can do something great with the roofs of your city. This is Rotterdam last summer, and we all had a lot of fun. Yeah, and then go further. Try to make parametric architecture that answers to the climate. Try to make iconic buildings. If you think you need to write the word home in a city in Germany, why not? And also bring some color to a place that is not very colorful but very gray and beige, like here in upper Manhattan. And if you have the chance, make a library that is so beautiful that people are queuing to get into it in the weekends because they want to see it, and then they also will actually read those books. And if you can, hopefully you can bring some love to architecture and improve the society, because we are really asking you, the next generation, to solve a lot of the problems that we partly caused. We need you to solve the climate issue and a lot of issues in society. Hopefully we can still help you a little bit with that, but we need your creative solutions, and we need you to take on this task. Also, everybody who did not win, you're all winners, I will say. You all provided us with really innovative and wonderful ideas. And I just want to say, don't just disappear with these ideas, but stay there, keep doing these things, believe in yourself, and perhaps also invite all your neighbors in your street to improve your street and do things that architects can do best. Thank you very much.